All right. Good morning, everyone. This Dharma talk is on the three realms and the six states. And this is a teaching based on Bodhidharma's teaching. I read an excerpt from Bodhidharma by Red Pine. It was a paragraph. It was very compelling to me. It was on the three realms and the six states. And I realized I don't know that much about the three realms and the six states. So I started looking into it, and a lot of ancillary topics came up. And it's quite thought-provoking, at least to me. So I'm going to get into this today. So I am not a SME, subject matter expert on the three realms and six states. I will just say that going into it. All right. So let's begin with a deep breath. And we pay tribute to our ancestors. And when I was writing this, I was thinking about our ancestors, and I was thinking about, well, like we know Dogen's an ancestor, but then I thought, well, Suzuki Roshi's an ancestor, but Peter's also an ancestor, and Mel Weitzman, he's an ancestor, and Alan Senaki, he's an ancestor. So ancestors maybe could be one generation ago. It's not in the distant past. So some of these ancestors were integral to our teaching in this and so it's not all. So Bodhidharma has many accomplishments, but he's best known for bringing Zen Buddhism from India to China. And, there's the martial arts and Shaolin and all that stuff, but we will just talk about Bodhidharma as a Zen master today. And so this is an excerpt from Bodhidharma as translated by Red Pine. And this is really meaty. But the three realms and six states of existence are infinitely vast. How can we escape their endless afflictions if all we do is behold the mind? The karma of the three realms comes from the mind alone. If your mind isn't within the three realms, it's beyond them. The three realms correspond to the three poisons. Greed corresponds to the realm of desire, anger to the realm of form, and delusion to the formless realm. And because karma created by the poisons can be gentle or heavy, these three realms are further divided into six places, known as the six states of existence. Okay. Well, that paragraph by Bodhidharma really infused me with a lot of curiosity and mystery. I was like, all right, how are these interrelated?
I'm sorry to interrupt. Would you mind rereading that?
I certainly can, as Jane has just joined us, so I will reread for Jane too. Hi, Jane. But the three realms and the six states of existence are infinitely vast. How can we escape their endless afflictions if all we do is behold the mind? The karma of the three realms comes from the mind alone. If your mind isn't within the three realms, it's beyond them. The three realms correspond to the three poisons. Greed corresponds to the realm of desire, anger to the realm of form, and delusion to the formless realm. And because karma created by the poisons can be gentle or heavy, these three realms are further divided into six places known as the 6 states of existence. So it was rather terse. So this mysterious, enigmatic paragraph got me thinking, how are these 3 realms and 6 states all interrelated in one cabal, let's say? And I'll attempt to answer that for the Sangha and for myself today. So this talk, we return to the question every practitioner faces when confronted with the opacity of their mind. He says, the 3 realms and 6 states are infinitely vast. How can we escape their endless afflictions if all we do is behold the mind? If everything is mind, how do we go beyond this? So this is the question of the Zen practitioner, right? We all wonder this. This is the question of a heart that suffers when confined by the mind or limited by the mind. But this may seem to be a simple inquiry, but it's an inquiry that holds all other inquiries, just like your mind. Bodhidharma has a turning word here because he offers a clear reply. He says, and this is the answer, so pay attention, the karma of the 3 realms comes from the mind alone. I'm like, duh, and okay. So this is very short and succinct, but if we grasp it, if we really grasp it, you'll find it sharper than a sword. It really cuts. So if, as Bodhidharma says, that the karma of the 3 realms arises from the mind, then the gate to awakening is not written in a scripture or sutras. It can't be found elsewhere. However, ironically, as I was writing this, the sutra verse kept coming to mind in my thoughts from the identity of relative and absolute. It is not near, it is not far. If you are deluded, you are mountains and rivers away from it. It's right here. Awakening's right here, right now, in your own awareness. Bodhidharma is telling us that the 3 realms are not esoteric. They do not reside as a possibility somewhere else in the universe. These are ingrained mental formations of our minds, and they are habitual, karmic, and pervasive. So what are these 3 realms, and how are they connected to the 6 states, and how are they connected to this world of craving that we live in? Okay. So these are interesting. We say the realm of desire born of greed. And this is the world of craving. And that's wanting, pursuing, acquiring. And it arises when we seek satisfaction outside of ourselves. It's when we say things like, if only I had this, if only I did that, if only I married this person, I'd be happy. If only I had a Lamborghini, my life would be great. Or if I could remove this, or if this person was in my life, boy, I'd be at peace, right? So this is a very familiar realm, at least to me. So this realm of clinging and insufficiency is born of this scarcity mindset that we have, right? And this is the realm that drives materialism, consumerism, addiction, and our endless grasping. This desire is just a secondary symptom, though, because it's a shadow that's cast by greed. And I think we all can resonate with that feeling in society today, or at least I have. So the second one, really, I like, this one makes a lot of sense to me. The realm of form born of anger. And this realm presents itself as being maybe more subtle, but it's deceptive in its subtleness. This realm shows itself as falsely tangible. The realm of form appears secure, ordered, and controlled. But beneath that form lies resistance. Because form builds its structures out of anger. And this anger is not just explosive rage, but it's the ubiquitous, less noticeable anger that's produced through our judgments, our mental structures, through rigidity and exclusion. And this anger realm of form is manifested as the desire to dominate or control, the need to define things or to box them in. And this last one's really interesting. The rejection of what is, the negation of things that are as they are. So it's sort of the antithesis of Zen. So the realm of form, it's the ego's fortress. Because this is who I am right now. This is how things should be. I know best. I'm right. You're wrong, right? This is where the ego presides, right? This is the court. And form builds out of the structure of the anger, right? It's very interesting. So form in this realm really becomes an armor, and anger becomes the stealthy architect of its design. So as we sit in silence, see if you can feel these formations building today, and know that they are false and amorphous. See how this anger builds non-tangible structures within your heart. And the third realm is the formless realm, and that's born of delusion. And this one is a tricky realm, the formless, because don't confuse formlessness with emptiness, because they're not the same. Because this is not the emptiness of prajna wisdom. It's the fog of delusion. It's confusion. And this realm arises when we're not in the world, when we're not here, right? When we're detached, when we dissociate, or when we're spiritually bypassing, right? We're deluding ourselves. When we're lost in visions, ideas, or ideologies, or when we mistake thoughts for reality, that's delusion. But this delusion is not yours to own, right? The bad news is that this delusion too is systemic. To our modern world, the formless realm appears as apathy in the face of suffering, right? Coldness. Disconnection masked as neutrality. You see that a lot. See it in the news. Compassion reduced to performance. So this realm seems familiar because this is the existence we are confronted with. And through capitalism, we sell detachment, apathy, and self-care. Profits always rationalized to be above people or beings of any kind. But this is just a distraction, and it dulls our awareness of the suffering of other sentient beings. And in this realm of formlessness, things like racism have a fertile ground to grow within delusion. but it's not overt racism, right? This is racism born of apathy and inaction. This is racism that lives in the silence of our minds. And this is what happens when we don't question our thoughts, when we're not present, when we don't assume the coldness of ideology in the spirit of consumption. This is what happens when we become numb or apathetic. So please, question all unexamined assumptions. Don't fool yourself and diminish racism or as a social issue. Think deeply on these in your heart. Because racism is delusion solidified, and it's the lie of separation made policy, and it really exemplifies this realm. So the formless realm seems, again, to be the antithesis of the Bodhisattva vow. When we do not see and acknowledge the suffering of others, when we do not see and acknowledge fear in others, when we're not tolerant of differences, when we use rationalization or spirituality to distance ourselves from the pain of the world, when we do these things, we enter the formless realm. And we have become shadows. We're shadows living in skin bags. But Buddhism, it's a participatory practice. And we experience the world and the suffering of the world and others as self. And apathy is just a word that separates us and gives us license to these delusional states. Because beyond these words and outside of delusion, we realize that the world of form, which is born of anger, is nothing but a dream experienced by a ghost. So we speak of the 6 states of existence, and these are those transitional states that we enter based on levels of karma. And from the 3 realm come these 6 states of being, and they call these karmic moods. And each one's a mask that your mind wears. Think of that. And we hear these terms, but it's interesting to hear them contextualized in this way and put in reference to the 3 realms. So think about these. And we enter and exit these in our lives daily. Hell beings, these are consumed by suffering, rage, and blame. Hungry ghosts, insatiable cravings, hollow, no satisfaction. Animals, instinctively bound, unaware, reactive. Humans, a precious state, balanced, capable of liberation. Asuras, which means a fighting god. Jealousy, ambition, competition. And devas, heavenly beings. Blissful, yet aware of their impermanence. So we move through these states daily, and each of these is a thought. Can be a thought, can be a reaction, can be a feeling that arises and passes. And we can enter these and exit these every day. And it's okay, because we're human and there's no judgment. So how do we go beyond this endless circle of delusion? As Bodhidharma teaches us, we do not escape this. We see through. He says, if your mind isn't within the 3 realms, it's beyond them. And this is the key. When we behold the mind with no grasping, no rejection, when we sit with what is, without adding a story or blame, we're no longer in these three realms. And that's what Bodhidharma was teaching. So we're the ocean, and these realms, they rise and fall within us. And the vastness of the ocean is not affected by the turbulence of the waves. So greed is the realm of want and fire. Anger is the realm that strikes and binds us. And delusion hovers formless as we're lost in the fog. But we can all arise from the mind alone. And to paraphrase Dogen, we know this, right? Because he says, if you know the mind, you're free, right? To know the self is to forget the self, right? To forget the self is to be enlightened by all things. That's what Dogen's saying. Know your mind first. You could free yourself. So Zazen is not an escape. It's not a technique to avoid this world. It's the fierce compassion of seeing clearly. In Zazen, we can observe the three poisons arising in our consciousness and dissipating. We see these realms flash in our mind as images, and they're images that vanish as dreams. In Zazen, we take refuge in the Buddha and the Sangha. We return over and over again to an emptiness that cannot be bound or described. Within our Buddha nature, we find the truth. We find that our true compassion is beyond all realms and all states. We find our innate connection and compassion. We find that we are not separate in our connection, and that we may encounter bliss or the sublime. But it's neither. It's just the absence of suffering and encountering our true self. Because the six realms are our projections. And the Buddha is a mirror that reflects them clearly. And the path of practice is just simply to remember the mirror. Yes, Chris.
So towards the beginning, I think it was the paragraph you read from Red Pine Bodhidharma, where it said something like, if all we do is watch our mind, we won't like break through delusion or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember the other part that I was planning to refer to, but that's okay. The gist of the question is, well, what's the next thing we do once we've sufficiently, if you can, sufficiently observed the mind or seen the mind? What's the actual action that will take us beyond delusion?
Okay. Well, this is sort of a paradox, right? Because everything is mind. And we've clearly said that the three realms and the six states are all mind and create all karma, right, in this world. But going beyond mind is still mind. So how do we go beyond the mind that is your everyday mind?
Maybe that's what we see.
Oh, we don't see, but what we see, yeah. I mean, this is the Bodhisattva vision. Yes, this is what we see. This is what we fall back into in our practice, because it's beyond anything of the conceptual mind. There's nothing conceptual about this. There's nothing to be attained, and there's nothing about any of this that can be obtained or exists here tangibly right here now. Yet we're all connected in this mind. In this mind, the shared mind. So that's how we go beyond mind,
Thank you.
because we have a collective.
I've been relating to the contents of my mind as if it were reality a lot lately, and yeah, it's not it doesn't bring any good things, and it actually kind of makes me miserable sometimes.
Yeah, it's time to empty the dustbin. So. Mike?
I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to put this into words, because I'm not really sure how to say it. But is there a danger of over-responding to the three wounds, everything, where you're trying to structure and say, okay, I need to try to calm myself down, recognize everything, but is there do we have to be careful not to over-respond and make a situation worse than it is? You know, like find the middle way when you're dealing with the realms, greed, hate, delusion, and I have to admit, this is the one of the most difficult Dharma talks I've heard, so I'm really struggling through this. But the thing I was wondering, is there a danger of over responding to this and trying to restructure our minds, okay, calm this down, and we actually create more garbage in our brains?
Yes.
Like that.
Yes, that's a real danger, but that's why we have a practice. This is the guardrails. And, we have a practice, we follow a path, we have teachers, and we have upaya, skillful means, and that comes out of our practice, right? So there's an urgency to this, yes, but there's not a recklessness to it or a carelessness to it. There's a skillfulness to it and how it's applied and measured, okay? And you apply it to yourself as needed. And if you think that there's something frantically out of control with it, it's not it, because this is a very non-emotional thing. Yes, Ann?
I feel like I still don't quite understand the connection between anger and the world of forms, like how anger creates forms. Could you explain a little bit more?
So, and then that comes to the form and emptiness and all the, metaphorical uses of form, et cetera, et cetera. But this is structures. Think of anger as building a structure, and that structure is form. When you say that anger hardens your heart, you're building form. If I say something that angers you in this world, I'm building a structure of anger in this world. Okay, I'm establishing karma. I'm building these structures. That's what anger manifests, okay? It builds all these forms that in the small mind that thinks are real, and stories around this, and that's the form. And they're all amorphous. They're like vapor, okay? They don't exist. Do you see it?
I think so.
See Mark Middlebrooks got his hand up.
Yes, Mr. Middleburg. Hold on, Mark. You're not, you're muted.
Hi,
There you go.
yeah, sorry about that. This is a difficult talk to thread my mind through and come out the other end. And that's really kind of the question, is like, the mind is these three realms.
Right.
So
Everything is mine.
everything is mind. So you can't attain, I'm kind of getting this, and I'm probably a little sloppy on this understanding here.
You can't get there in these three realms. You got to go beyond it. That's what my friend Bodhidharma.
Uh-oh, you froze there.
Okay, we'll be back.
So, bringing everything back to the cushion, all of this all of this beyond mind, it's just going beyond the conversations in your head. And the only way to do that is to be fully in your breath. And if you're fully in your breath, you're in a place, and really it's not an intellectual place. This is what we're saying. It's not a place of words or form. There's a place beyond, and you'll know it. It's not so special. And that's a place beyond these realms. Okay, and that's a place that answers, the sound of one hand clapping, because it's a non-intellectual space, and everyone has it. But the thing is, since we've been born, we've been conditioned that these concepts are how things work, and this language is how things, and this is the way of the world. And, I'm asking you to question all of that. Okay, because the answer to this may be simpler than we think. Okay.
Spencer, nobody's got their hand up, I wanted to ask.
Rachel does.
Rachel?
Thanks, Spencer.
Oh, you're welcome.
All that esoteric, this kind of journeyman kind of discussion, really. But I wanted to say, to make the net catch other people as well. When you discuss formlessness
Yeah.
and confusion and drew upon apathy and capitalism, is there not also another face of ignorance being confusion, confabulation, actually, in which fear, you can actually have anxiety. In other words, you get to be apathetic and anxious at the same time, because the formlessness and the ignorance can have a despair attached, which is just as unproductive as any other state. But the other thing I wanted to say is, I suppose it's fanciful, but speaking of language, since we are human and that's pretty much the only way we can think or talk or communicate, if you ever study another language, whether you read it or, I don't know, read all the books, it isn't until the day you dream in it and you no longer think of it as another language, because that is how your mind is forming. Do you know what I mean? It's you don't say, hey, I'm wet. I mean, you might in reflection notice the dream was in French or German. But when that step is taken, which by the way I'm not especially familiar with, but I know from people who truly are bilingual or trilingual that it's almost like a different world. It's a whole new encapsulation of living. And I just mean when we're talking about what you read in books and what you discuss and what you teach, when that knowledge is you, you are the knowing. You're not sitting there being a book. You are the knowing of it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I see that. Is this confabulation you speak of akin to like cognitive dissonance?
Well, with confusion or ignorance, it is, yes, yeah, that would be one form, cognitive dissonance.
Okay.
But I don't mean lying. I mean where truly your mind has built another picture on top and you
No, I
are
get it.
totally confused.
I definitely see that. Yes, I get that. And I like what you said about learning another language, because this is what this is like. Maybe one day you'll wake up and you'll be speaking that language, and that's what this is like. It's not, and it was in your brain all along that just fell, you fell into it. I know I've been doing Duolingo for a while now, and just not happening to me, but my Zen practice going on 30 years, so hopefully it'll end soon here. So, anyone else?
Mike, did you still have a question?
It's funny that Rachel said that about dreaming, because my late wife told me that she lived in France so long, she started dreaming in French. And she actually had to teach herself to dream in English again when she came back to America. But the common thought that I was hearing as we talked is that if we, like Jane was saying when we were doing zazen and stuff and concentrating on our breath, that we're just here where we are at this second. We don't have these issues because there's no room for them. It's when we start thinking, and thinking means you're in the past, or you're dreaming about the future or something, then it starts to develop, and that in a lot of ways, it's, if you can keep yourself centered, I don't even like that word, but in the moment, paying attention to exactly what you're doing at that second, it kind of helps clarify what you were talking about, I think, in the sense that, you're not getting angry and creating forms, you're not getting delusional, you're not, all this other stuff, because all there is one moment that you're in when you're on the cushion or whatever you're doing.
Right, that's all you have, and that's all that ever existed. And and you got to really give up your mind to believe that that's all that ever existed. Because we have an investment in that existence. Yes, Danny?
I think that once you have this concept of non-duality, it really, on the question of like racism or the us versus them or you versus me kind of topic, once you have non-duality, it kind of erases all that, and you start to see others with compassion. And when you have compassion coupled with wisdom, the actions that flow from that, I think, will have some kind of value. It'll be a good thing,
Yeah, that's prajna wisdom. That's the wisdom of the heart. We were talking about the other night, maybe someone brought up like false compassion or hollow compassion, but the compassion you speak of, that's the Buddhist compassion. That's the wisdom of the heart, right? Seeing others, as one, as self. So you're right on target. Is there a question in there?
I just wanted to make that comment because Chris was talking about like what actions do you take. I think the specific actions aren't as important as the intentions behind those actions. Once you have your reasons for doing something and a healthy way of doing that, what specifics arise from that, it's going to be a good thing.
That's
Whether
right.
it's strong or weak, it's going to be in a good direction.
You're 100% correct. I bow to you. Jan?
I wanted to say that when you do study these different realms and you do study the effects of anger and such on your life that you're usually not aware of until you start to think about it, when you do study them thoroughly and then you sit and you follow your breath, then your body learns it, not just your head.
Mm-hmm.
And so you just follow your breath. You practice doing shikantaza, which is just sitting with nothing extra. But then your body learns it, really learns it, and you start to take all of it into yourself. And you use it in a different way.
Yeah, it's like popcorn seeds. So the Dharma talk, we're seeding, and the Zazen would turn on the microwave, and they're just popping. So the Dharma comes out naturally, like a foreign language.
I think we've got time for Joel's question, comment, and then wrap up for service.
Yes, yeah. Joel, you're muted.
Is Joel here?
Hi. Yeah. Hi. Hi, Jane. Yes. Well, actually, I had three things. Rachel had a question about music, and what I came up with, which I don't know if I ever got it to send to you, is she asked music, language of sound, concept. And I say, good questions. It's a language, there are concepts, but music begins when they all drop away, which is a real kind of nice anything. And it really means something, but it's like you need you need to learn it to be able to do it. You need the concepts, and it is a language, but whether you're a musician or just someone listening, whatever, no background, it's like just listen is is the whole thing. And when you have a great musician, that's sort of all it is. They can't put into words what's going on. I think. I mean, they could if they had to explain it, but at that moment, when it's happening, when you're conceiving a piece or have an idea for a piece, or you're a performer in the middle of a performance, you're just there. And music is just there, and you don't know what's going on, I think. But it just comes. But anyway, so that's what I can say about music now. And okay, the other thing I was thinking is, like, I don't want to put John on the spot, but it seemed to me when he was talking, he was really on a roll. So I'd be curious what he has to say, but that sends things. My thing is that I've always associated the formless realm more with real high-class things like enlightenment and all that. And maybe it's not, but it struck me with the antithesis, like the formless realm is related to delusion. And the opposite of delusion is enlightenment. So it seems like maybe the formless realm is kind of maybe some kind of place where delusion and enlightenment are sort of both available in some sense. Like when you're in the form realm, yes, things happen, or things you see, and you have anger, you have a reaction. And when all those things fade away into something quote unquote formless,
Yeah,
you still have illusion.
I think there's two types of formlessness, right?
Yeah.
So I think within the realms, this is an ego state of formlessness, and and then then there's the emptiness, and you can't conflate the two.
Well, I wonder whether, like, within the place of formless is where, like, the whole thing is able to drop away. Like when you're in total desire, there's no way, forget it. When you're stuck in form, there's anger that arises against the forms. And but within the realm of form, it's like within the hell realm, there's a Buddha, right? And within the formless realm, it seems closer maybe to where it it seems closer to where there's the energy of both possibilities.
No, I get what you're saying, that it seems like there's akin to it, but my general feeling on it is you gotta let it go. It's
Okay.
not. I think that it's just Matt trying to manifest his form again, through anger, through the mind, and you gotta let it go because it's not empty.
Okay.
Jane.
And also, when you get really angry, you not only create forms, you create karma so that what goes around comes around, and you read it again and again until you truly solve it. And it's never pleasant anytime it comes around.
No.
But you can solve it once you learn how to control anger or just not to be caught up in it and stop it as soon as you see it rising. Once you do that, when it comes around, there's some distance between you and the angry karma, and you can solve it much faster.
Thank you.
I think if we really understood the after effects of things like desire and anger, if we really understood what we create and have to face again later, we'd be tiptoeing around things.
Alright,
Okay.
I think that's a great place to wrap up.
All right, we're gonna perform service.
Spencer for